Hi, I'm Nathan Smith, the Digital Programming Coordinator for the Central Arkansas Library System. Welcome to Intro to Computers. If you're new to the whole computer thing or you just need a refresher on the basics, this series is for you. In previous videos, we've talked about the basic parts of the computer, and we've gone into detail about how to use a keyboard. This time we're going to be dissecting how to use a mouse with your computer. One quick note before we get started. Many computers, particularly laptops, have a touchpad device instead of a traditional mouse. We're going to talk about traditional mice in this video, but if you have a touchpad, you'll still want to watch this one first since it goes over basic mouse techniques and concepts. Once you're familiar with those, I'll show you in the next video how to apply them to a touchpad. Let's get into it. The basics. There are some basics you probably already know. The mouse is a pointing device. When you move the mouse, it moves an arrow on screen that looks like one of these. Depending on the circumstances, it might turn into another shape, but we would call any of those things the mouse pointer. You can use the pointer to interact with objects on the screen. Holding the mouse in basic movement. For most traditional mice, you'll start by resting your right pointer finger and middle finger lightly on the two big buttons here at the top of the mouse. More on those in a moment. Let the rest of your hand fall naturally and rest on the base of the mouse. Place your thumb to the left of the mouse and let your other two fingers rest on the right of the mouse. No need to really grip it, just let those fingers rest on either side. To move the mouse, you'll use your arm and wrist to sort of slide it around on the desk. The mouse should detect even small movements, so you shouldn't need to wear yourself out moving it around. When you move the mouse left or right, the pointer on screen should match that movement. If you push the mouse forward, away from you, the pointer will move up, and when you pull back towards you, the pointer will move down. The buttons. The buttons on your mouse can vary a lot, depending on what kind of mouse you have, so I'm just going to show you the most common controls in this video. Nearly every modern mouse has two basic buttons, the left button and the right button, and the scroll wheel in the middle, which actually hides a sort of secret third button. The left mouse button is the most important button on your mouse. To use it, just push it down lightly with your pointer finger, then let go right away. That's it. You should hear a little click. You don't need to hold the button down or wait for anything to happen. Your mouse will detect the click immediately. At this point, I want to be clear about our terms. If someone uses the word click when talking about a computer, they mean you should use the left mouse button. For example, if someone says click OK, what they mean is move the mouse pointer over the OK button on screen, then tap the left mouse button, which will press that button. Clicking with the left mouse button is the most important way you'll use the mouse. The right mouse button works in exactly the same way as the left one, except you'll use your middle finger to click it. When someone says right click, they mean you should tap the right mouse button just like we did with the left one. In most computer programs, clicking the right button brings up a list of options for the thing you clicked on. This is known as a context menu, or sometimes just the right-click menu. By the way, any list of options on a computer is known as a menu, just like a menu at a restaurant lists the choices you have when ordering your food. The scroll wheel. In between those two buttons, you'll see the scroll wheel. There are actually two different ways to use this part of the mouse. But as the name suggests, you'll primarily use it for what's called scrolling. If you had an actual scroll made out of paper and it was long enough, you wouldn't be able to hold the whole thing in your hands and read it at once. As you went down the page, you would have to roll up the top part and unroll the bottom part in order to continue reading. Computers are the same way. Most information on a computer doesn't fit neatly on one screen. So changing your view to move around on the page on a computer is known as scrolling. The scroll wheel is the easiest way to change your view when you're moving up and down the page. On most computers, you simply position your mouse over the page you want to scroll, then roll the scroll wheel under your finger, like this. Rolling the wheel towards you will move you down the page, while rolling the wheel away from you will move you up the page. However, if you're using a computer made by Apple, there are a couple things you should know. On an Apple computer, you might have to click inside a particular program before you can scroll in that program. If you're trying to scroll and it's not working, that may be why. Also, the direction of scrolling on an Apple computer is flipped compared to other computers, though you can adjust that setting on your computer if you want to. The other way to use the scroll wheel is to click it down like a button. This will do different things depending on what program you're using, so we won't go into detail on that. But it's important to know that's an option. It sometimes catches folks by surprise when they click the wheel accidentally. Now that you know the basics of how to use the mouse, let's talk about a few other techniques you'll want to use. Double-clicking. Generally speaking, you use a basic single click to press on-screen buttons or to choose something. In tech, we usually call this selecting. But sometimes you might want to open something, like a specific computer program you want to use, or a document you need to work on. To show you what I mean, let's look at my computer's desktop. On the desktop, I have a few important icons, these little pictures. Don't worry too much about what those are. We'll talk about that later in a future video. For now though, let's say I want to use the internet. This program, Google Chrome, is one option for that. If I click on it once, nothing really happens except this little shaded box appears around the Chrome icon. That shows I've selected it, but I haven't opened the program, and I'm no closer to the internet. However, if I double-click the mouse like this, Chrome opens right up. Similarly, if I want to look at the picture here on the desktop, I can double-click on it. That will open the picture in the image viewing software on my computer. If you find your computer isn't doing what you expect when you click on something once, you might try double-clicking. With a little practice, you'll start to get a feel for when you might need to double-click on something instead of clicking once. Dragging with the mouse. The other technique I want to show you has a few names, but is commonly called dragging, click and drag, or drag and drop. This is used to move things around on screen. Once your mouse pointer is in position, you hold down on the button to pick up an item, and while you're holding it down, move the mouse to where you want that item to be. Once you have the item in place, you just let go of the mouse button to drop it. Let me show you a couple of examples. Back on my desktop, let's say I want to reposition the recycle bin icon. To do that, I'll move my mouse over the icon and hold down the mouse button to pick it up. As long as I'm holding the button, a little ghost of the icon will follow my mouse pointer around. Once I let go of the button, the icon stays in its new position. Dragging the mouse can also be a good way to select several things at the same time using something called a rectangle select. Let's say I'd like to move several of these icons into a folder. I could drag and drop each of them into the folder individually, but that would take some time. The easiest way is to select them all, then drag them all in at once. To start, I'm going to move my mouse next to the icons that I want to move. Now I'll hold down on the left mouse button, and I'll move my mouse down and to the left. As I move, you'll notice a little box starts to form, and any icons the box touches get selected. Once I have everything I want selected, I'll let go of the button. The box disappears, and now I can drag any of these icons into the folder, and everything I selected goes in. Thanks for sticking with this video about the mouse. I hope it feels a little less mysterious to you now. In the next video, we'll be talking about how to use a touchpad like the ones found on laptops. See you soon!